Today's topic is very interesting. There are three aspects to it. One is the innovative pedagogy, second is continuous assessment, and third is NEP implementation. And I'll focus more on teaching learning process. How do we create faculty which is outstanding? And once they are good and become better, they are able to transmit their knowledge back to the students and create the future leaders of India. So, with that, let me share the presentation with you. And I'm going to make the presentation interactive. So, in between, I'll stop and take some questions through chat box. And we will try to keep it as interactive as possible because otherwise it will be too much one-way communication. I would enjoy having your comments and thoughts along the way. So I'll break in between several times. So brief outline, I'll begin with the some challenges we are facing for higher education in India. And the biggest thing NEP 2020 is telling us that we need to focus on the value education. And then I'll dive into innovative pedagogy, focusing on learners' engagement first. Then, how do we create the faculty excellence? And one of the missing component is the lack of soft skill in the curricula. So I'll talk briefly about it and its importance. Then we'll look at the effective assessment, continuously assessing the progress of the learners rather than focus on midterm and end term exams. And then I'll share with you some of the teaching learning process success we had on the ground and few references, recommendation, and specifically I would request all of you to note down two key takeaways from the session towards the end of the session. And hopefully each one of you who are attending today can share at least one key takeaway so we can learn from each other. So with that, let me start the presentation. So, if we look at the higher education challenges, India creates a large number of engineers, 1 million from engineering colleges, about zero point 0.5 million, half a million from the polytechnic and diploma granting institutions. There is a company called Aspiring Minds in New Delhi, conducted a study and they looked at 150,000 engineering students and they found only 7% suitable to do the core engineering jobs. So this is the indictment on the education system where students are not getting proper skills and as a result there is a high unemployment. And I was just looking at the latest statistics, even in the top institute in India, IIT, 38% of the students for the 23-24 batch have not been able to get the placement. And there is a small typo, 23-34. This is coming from the internet, so I need to make a correction on that. It's 23-24 batch. So if the IITians cannot be placed, what about the rest of the colleges? So this is the challenge we are facing, and the root cause of these is the current state of teaching we have on the left side of this slide, and I'll quickly walk through it and then take the to the right side what the desired state should be in order for us to have the best education system in the world. So because of the system we are wedded with, that's a British old system. It's a rote learning and focus on dry theories. The curriculums are outdated and there is a no inclusion of soft skill in the curricula. Quality of education, there is a lack of quality both at the system level and at the curricula level. Most of the faculty do not have any industry experience, and I can tell you when I joined academia, I had already 18 years of industry experience, which helped me to do better with my classes. And the faculty needs to have knowledge replenish all the time, and industry interaction is minimal. And forget about the alumni. In India, we do not have much respect for the alumni compared to the Western world where they put them on the pedestal. So we need to move to the desired state where learning method should be inquiry based, and we need to focus on best in class practices from around the world. The curricula should align with the needs of the industry, and the major gap which I've been noticing since last 11 years in Indian education system is the lack of soft skills, and I'll expand on that briefly. Need to instill quality both at the system level and in the curricula, and faculty should require industry experience. Either they have worked in the industry or they do the projects working with the industry along with the students to solve the real problems, and they continue to renew and upgrade their knowledge. Industry participation is extremely critical by inviting them to sit on the advisory board at the department and at the institute level. And alumni engagement is extremely critical because they bring a lot of resources, the knowledge, and money as well to strengthen the alma mater. So we need to really think about doing some of these things which are not getting done at the moment. So let's segue into the value education in India. So if you remember in the olden days, we had a Gurukul system where students, whether they were the kings or the commoner, they all went to study at the Gurukul side by side, and they did everything as required by the Guru. So the Indian education system should really focus on key values to impart to the students by building their characters and make them responsible citizens of India and the world. So there are various items which needs to be incorporated in the education systems to teach them the ethics, the honesty and integrity at the core. They should have the compassion for others, non-violence and practice of truth. They should respect the elderly, the environment and reverence for the teachers because Guru Bina Gyan Nahi. And we should, as a faculty, should instill spirit of collaboration and cooperation. And one other thing I have it at the top, encourage students to do community service for nation building. This is extremely critical because teaching is not about giving them facts and figures. It is about instilling these core values which will build their character, and they can stand any challenges within India as well as globally if they have the right character at the core. So before we jump into next segment, let me stop sharing, and we can take some questions through the chat at the moment. So Amandip ji, please help me along if there are any questions coming from the chat.
Yes, sir. There is no question available till now, sir.
Okay, so we can
Can we
wait.
just interact like that also, or should we write only in the chat window?
I think better to do the chat at the moment, and then later on we'll try to open the microphone if system is working okay. And my request is if you are doing something good in the value system education at your institute, because we have participants from different parts of India, kindly share that because that will help others to understand how things are getting done and who is doing what.
Yes, sir. We will take up at the end of the session.
Yeah. So Pramod Kumar Singla ji is talking about individual learning, and that we will require some effort on the part of the faculty, which I'll bring it in the pedagogy part, which is just coming in. Even with the large number of students, I'll make my comments. So bear with me for a few more minutes. And large number of students can also be handled by forming the teams, and that's a concept I need to bring it in very briefly right away as soon as we close this short window of questions at the moment, and that is creating the collaborative, experiential, and outcome based teaching learning process. I definitely agree with you that every individual is a unique learner, and that's the role of the faculty to be the coach rather than the boss. They need to figure out who is good at what and who is struggling so they can provide the right guidance and coaching as appropriate. Okay, any additional quick comment before we move to the next segment, please? And these are the excellent questions. So thank you, Pramod Kumar ji.
Sir, no further question is available. We can start with the next part of the presentation.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
so we go there. So I will take you through the innovative pedagogy aspect where we begin first with the learner's engagement and why this is important. So consider faculty as a transmitter and the learners or the students as the receivers. You may have the best knowledge to transmit, but if the receiver are not tuned in, if they are not engaged, that one-way traffic will end up nowhere and there will not be any reception on the part of the learners or the students. That's why engaging them is the first step to become the good faculty. And by the way, in order to become a good faculty, we first need to be a good student to start with. And I'm very happy and delighted to share that I was a good student while I went to Banaras Hindu University 64 to 68, learned a lot, and continued my journey here at IIT in Chicago. And after traveling my journey as a good student, when I entered the academia, I was able to see how I can become a good faculty. So it's all linked in. So, right from the beginning, when I started teaching, my focus was I want my students in the classroom to be fully engaged in their own learning. So, they need to be involved in their learning by applying the concepts they are learning in the class and share them among the classmates. Because it's one thing to get the knowledge, but if you don't apply, you forget, and application is the key. And secondly, sharing and learning from each other in the class is extremely critical, which is the component missing in the Indian education system. So we need to leverage the class interactions where there is so much knowledge sitting there in the participants. So this is a simple involve, learn, apply, share model. Secondly, I've created a short slide on 12 keys to the kingdom for learners engagement. So let me share those things with you. And I've been practicing these items since last 31 years in my classrooms, and I found them to be very useful for my teaching and transmitting my knowledge. So beginning of the class, you can assign a research to do the research on a topic we are going to cover, and one person can share briefly what they learn and keep rotating the students, share the importance of the topic as a faculty to the class, show the real world application to create the interest in the topic, and have the topical questions to begin the session more like ice break and keep rotating the students. As a faculty, we must deliver basic concepts and principles, so there is no need on memorization. And unfortunately, our British system we have wedded to forces students to do the memorization and then vomiting in the classroom. And that knowledge is not being retained and it's not useful. And faculty should allow curiosity and innovativeness to flourish in the classroom as well. And after the session is over, ask each and every student to give one key takeaway from what they learned during the session for common understanding. Next four items, I took it from the Harvard Business Publishing, which tells us we can do some short polls or voting, arrange for role play as appropriate, create small groups for engagement, and they can discuss in the group and report back to the full class, work on the project in the team setting, and then share their project results as a team, invite guest speakers to have a broader perspectives, and most importantly, as a faculty, one must replenish the knowledge so that you are at a cutting edge and you give the cutting edge info to your students. If we do all these 12 things, we get a gold star. So very important to engage the students and learners in the classroom first. Once they are engaged, once they are tuned in, it's very easy to keep transmitting the best knowledge you have acquired through your effort on a continuous basis. And by the way, faculty needs to be the lifelong students to start with, because if you just sit on the previous laurels, it will not serve you well. You will be left alone, sitting on the past knowledge, which others will pass by and have a better knowledge than you. So, as I mentioned, I come from the industry with an experience of 18 years. I saw that in the industry, success came from teamwork. Everything depended on good teams, collaboration, communication, working in a most effective way under the guidance of the supervisor, etc. So I wanted to simulate that thinking in my classes. So right from the beginning in 93, when I started teaching in business schools, I used this model, and currently I use it for the last 31 years, that my classes are collaborative, experiential, and outcome based. That CEO approach in collaboration, all my classes, the teams are formed and they are required to cooperate internally within the team and across the team. And I'll make a brief comment about large number of students which I have taught in India as well. Experiential, this is where students in the my courses study between 7 to 8 to 10 state of the art case studies, articles, and then there is a special way they put together the summary. That's how they learn the experiential current trend in the industry. And they are all required to do team project and outcome based. They write up a reflection journal at the end of the course with the focus on implementation. So in terms of the team structure, fortunately here we have a small classes. I just finished my 16th session, 16 years at Northwestern University project management course. And I had about 8 students. Normally I get between 6, 7, all the way to 17 students. These are the graduate program, so smaller number. But in India, at the Great Lake Institute of Management in Chennai, I have taught up to 120 students, and they all studied the same manner, collaborative, experiential, and outcome based in the team setting, doing the articles, reading the state of the art articles, answering some specific questions on the topics every week, every day of the week, because it was a 1 week program on site. And they all did the project in a team setting, etc. So it requires more effort when there are more students. And of course, I had a teaching assistant helping me as well. So let me share with you some of the insights on what they do with the articles we talked about. Now, as we all know, we read so many articles, and at the end of the day, we forget what was that article all about, because after a while, everything sort of mixes up. So in order to get a sharper focus on learning from the specific articles which are chosen with care, and they are the state-of-the-art articles related to the course and the topics under discussion, they need to write up in a team setting a 2-page short summary focusing on only three things. One, what are the key principles and practices in the bullet form for the entire team in 3 to 4 bullet. Then in the middle portion, each one of the people in the team write down application of principles or practices by bridging the gap between theory and the practice, how those principles were applied in the work they had done and currently doing. And this is where the major focus is in the middle, the application part. And the last point, 3 to 4 key takeaways for the entire team. So it's a combination of team and individual collection, 2-page summary. Generally, the class is divided into smaller teams. They share their findings in a summary format and learn from each other. So more like intellectual warfare. So they debate it out and get a better perspective by focusing on learning from others as well. And interestingly, students needs to be taught how to write in a simple, succinct, and a straightforward way rather than put the gobbledygook in the article summary. No spelling mistakes, no grammatical errors, etc. And they are given feedback after every article summary which they share. And interestingly, I give the single grade to the entire class in order to have more collaboration. So they all help each other out, but they have to put their individual effort as well as collective team effort. And this method, I'm happy to report that when I shared some of this methodology with Dr. Mamta Rani Agarwal, who was leading the Atal Academy at AICTE, she appreciated all this innovative pedagogy. May I request all of you to remain on mute, please? Thank you. And for 22-23 FDP requisition, the entire process of engagement, article summary, and reflection journals were made part of the Atal FDP program, where 10,000 faculties learned to do things in a different way rather than come, join, listen, take some multiple choice questions, and then no interaction, no learning, no collaboration, etc. So this collaborative, experiential, and outcome-based approach was adopted at AICTE, and I was very happy to see that thing getting implemented. And by the way, today's presentation is captured into an article in a higher education forum book published in 2023 March, and the copy of that was shared with Harshvardhanji, and that can be shared with all the participants as well. And I'll make sure that that thing gets transmitted after the presentation is over today. Moving on, the reflection journal. So what's the purpose of learning something new? Purpose should be, how do we apply the new concepts and new things we learned? So application of the new knowledge, which is required to be done by all the students. So at the end of the course, on the last day, they fill out a 1-page reflection journal. 3 simple ideas, 3 key learnings, the outcomes from the course in a bullet form. 3 key lessons, the concept they will implement in the bullet form, and their plan to implement the 3 key lessons in the bullet form. By having this exercise, forces them to think about what they have learned, what they are getting out of the class, and what they are going to implement as they go forward within the places where they come from, whether they are working professional or they are from the academic side only. Now, I'll stop sharing here. We had a good amount of sharing, and let's see if we have any questions coming in from the chat box.
Yes, sir. There is one question from Dr. Mishra that he said to implement NEP 2020, many of the institutions are reducing the portion of mathematics. So is it a drawback that students who enrolled for engineering courses are not going for the mathematical kind of courses?
I think it seems to be a short-sighted approach. NEP doesn't say that you have to curtail the mathematics. So somebody has taken a shortcut, which is sort of detrimental to the progress of the students and the institute. So I would definitely say that's not part of NEP 2020. I think what we do is, and I'm keeping my comments very straightforward. It was a 15-year journey supposed to be right by 20. So at 2020, July 29th, NEP was approved. 20, in a 15 years at 2035 window, we are supposed to have all educational institutes, including K through 12, to implement the NEP 2020. After 4 years of application of the NEP 2020 policy, where are the results? So if you look at it, the report card is very sketchy, and I'm putting it very mildly. Some places there are center of excellence who are doing good work, but it's all kept secret. There is no widespread sharing, and it's definitely a shotgun approach. People take what they want to do, like curtailing this math application, and then they all are happy to declare that we are done with NEP 2020. And that is a very, very short sighted approach. I think India needs better, and India can do better. On some other time, we will have a very specific discussion and topics on what are some challenges and what should be done on a proper way. Today, we are focusing more on the pedagogy, assessment, and creating effective teaching learning process. So we'll keep the discussion around that. But the results are not good, and we should be taking the serious look at where we are and what we need to do. Otherwise, time will come at 2035 window. We'll ask the question, what happened to NEP 2020 and where do we start again? And that has been the history before. We should not be repeating that history as we go forward. And sorry for giving the harsh reality in a simple form. And that's what the reality at the ground level is. And I'm keeping in touch with number of different institutes. Try to see, and if we take the polling from the group of 106 people who are here, how many of their institutes are seriously implementing NEP 2020? Is there a communication within the institute of what has been done? And is it sustainable? Is it bringing some good results as proposed in the policy? If you ask those questions, you will come up with the empty answers. And that's the reality on the ground level. So sorry about that. That's where we are. So let's move on to the question here.
Sir, another question by Dr. BP Bharma, sir. How
Mhm.
to give right guidance to the students?
Yeah, so this requires the approach I mentioned, that the faculty's role is not to just give out slides and do the facts and figures, but become a coach. What do the coach do in the sports setting? They look at each and every individual player and find out who is good at what and give them the right position to play with. And each and every individual is unique. And as a faculty, we need to know who is good at what and who is not doing well. So those who are doing well can become the guide to the people who are not doing well, and also spend time one on one with your students as best as you can, or at least in the team setting. And by the way, when I went through my education in India, it was a solo learning. There was never a team project. Even during 4 years of undergrad in chemical engineering, all projects were all solo. And here in the Western world, everything is team based. And that method of teaching, the pedagogy, the way we do things needs a serious relook. And I'm going to hold some comments about the focus on exams and more exams in India. in a short while. Okay, let's move on to the questions, please.
There are no more questions available, sir.
Yeah, there are some comments, so let me read
Yes.
that, and these are good comments. So,
Some people have raised hands, I think. Dr. Mala
I
yeah,
guess
Kalra has.
Dr. Mala Kalra, ma'am.
okay, so let's take the hands, people who have raised hand first. Go ahead.
Dr. Mala Kalra, ma'am, is there any question from your side? I hope I'm audible to you, Dr. Mala Kalra, ma'am. Is there any question? You have raised your hand. I think this is by mistake, sir.
Okay, so we can cross that out. And there are a couple of comments I just want to read. Shano Solanki, effective learning through collaborative learning approach, peer group learning, discussion, group task. That's exactly the point I'm making. So thank you for capturing it. Uh, Guidance to the student. I think we talked about understanding what they are good at and what they are not doing well, and giving continuous feedback to them will make them feel important, as well as they will have a chance to improve their performance before the semester is over. And expecting innovative engineers without mathematics is definitely a bad idea. So I totally agree with that comment. And somebody who has done that shortcut, they should not be on that point at all. Okay. Yeah, I think we are good with this so far. Let's move on in the interest of time. And I definitely want to make sure that we close on time, answering all the questions as best as I can. Let's talk about how do we create excellence in our faculty. As I made a comment early on, unless faculty is made excellent and they are confident, they are energized, they are motivated, and they become highly capable, they are not going to be able to transmit their knowledge with confidence to their students, and students will suffer. So, real focus should be on making motivated, energized, and capable faculty, which is one of the key teaching learning process idea from the NEP 2020 implementation. So, if you look at Albert Einstein, what is he saying on education? The supreme art of the teacher is to awaken the joy in creative expression and knowledge. And if, as a faculty, if we can't explain it simply, we don't understand it well enough. So we need to make an effort to keep it so simple that everybody in the audience gets it. Only source of knowledge is experience, and this is where working in the industry, gaining industry experience through consulting and projects is extremely critical. And learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow. These are some nice words of wisdom from Albert Einstein, so let's keep that in mind. I want to show a difference between average versus gifted teacher. The average teacher will explain the complexity, but the gifted teacher will reveal the simplicity. So it's up to us as a faculty to study and get to the bottom of what the key principles and practices are and present that to our students who can take it and take it forward. Now, here is a comment, how should the faculty should be learning in the first place? And this is based on the experience I have seen online FDP Atal Academy program, where large number of people during the lockdown and during the pandemic were getting knowledge transmitted on a solo fashion, joining in on the online platform, keeping the video on and doing something else by muting themselves, listen to a few things. At the end of the fifth day, take the multiple choice question. If you pass, you get a certificate. And almost 60 to 65% of the people were able to get the certificate. Rest didn't even get the certificate. That means they were not paying any attention. And in terms of the attendance was 30 to 40% of those who signed up. So it was a eye opener. And so the faculty excellence model I'm proposing here, and I've been using it for a number of years, is the faculty needs to learn in a collaborative way under the scientific guidance of the expert resource person by doing lots of introspection and reflection. And we use this famous acronym CSIR, very important for India. So that collaboration and learning in team for the faculty is extremely critical. And I can go back and give you a little bit historical background about myself. So when I joined BHU in 64, we had a class size which doubled from 30 to 60 that year in chemical engineering due to the demand from the industry. And we had 20 students, 8 from Bombay and 12 from Gujarat. So one third of the class was Gujarati. So I come from Gujarat, Bombay. Most of my friends were brilliant on a 9 month study cycle, no semester system at that time, 13 subjects to study. Some of them got first time getting out of the house. They took it easy for the first 8 months. And the last month, they crashed to get something done and pass the first year of the 4 year program we were in. I come from a middle class family. I had lost my parents when I was 6. My focus was to get the best education from the best institute I was able to join, the Mahamana Pandit Madan Mohan Malaviya's Temple of Learning. So in the first 8 months, I would have finished all the studies. And in the last month, I was happy to share my notes and work with my friends who have not studied to get them ready for the final exams. So my teaching practice started 60 years back, 1964. And that has helped me a lot as a faculty by trying to get to the bottom of what the principles and key things are for a given subject and understand the principles rather than memorize the facts only. And those were the friends who asked me tough questions. As a result, I had to go deeper, understand it, convince them, and then convince myself. It helped them as well as helped me. So the moral of the story is if you help someone else, it will help you. So if you are a faculty with a lot of experience, mentor the young ones who are coming up and make them proficient, work with your students, make them the best they are capable of. So, and this is the law of nature. What goes around comes around. And if we can help others, why not? So in Sanskrit, there are many forms of teacher. I'm going to take a little bit of speed here. Begin with, we are Adhyapak when we start sharing the information after getting a PhD. We come in, then when we add knowledge to the information, we become Upadhyay. When we share the skills, get a title of Acharya. Promotion comes when you share the insight, you become Pandit. When you share the visionary thinking, you are Drishta. And at the end of your career, you share the wisdom and you become the Guru. So I think the faculty should aspire to become the Guru in their lifetime in their own chosen field. And bottom line is the faculty needs to educate students by engaging, energizing, entertaining, and empowering them. Now, there are a couple of simple slides, but very profound things. So let me share that with you. What's the role of a faculty? Is to engage the class by creating small groups, excite them by showing the applications of the topics you are covering, empower them by sharing the right resources so they can get the more benefit for the future, and challenge them to solve the problems with the resources you already shared. Don't find solution for them. It is their role to find the solution themselves. And here are the 9 factors I want to share from my personal experience how I became a better faculty. I had a love of learning right from the beginning, curiosity to learn something new, empathy for my students. I have inner drive which keeps moving from ignorance to excellence. I have a good determination, dedication, and discipline to get things done. I have enough patience to work with students one at a time. And I'm a Scorpion. End of next month, I'll be completing 79 years. So I have lots of perseverance as a Scorpion. These are some of the things. Each one of you should have your own factors which makes you a better faculty. And this is at least my roadmap. Each one of you will have your own roadmap. So think about it and reflect on it. Before we move into the soft skill, the next target area, let me stop sharing and see if we have any quick comment on the segment we just covered.
No,
So,
sir, we do not have any comment and any question for this discussion part.
okay. All right. So should we move on then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for keeping me honest here. So my comment on this part of the presentation is since around 2000, I've been teaching in India. I come across brilliant students, but most of them focus their energy on technical or the hard skills. They essentially overlook the soft skills. And unfortunately, our education system doesn't also give any importance of including soft skills in the curricula, which is important both for the faculty first to become proficient and then transmit that knowledge to the students. Now, here is a simple slide which tells us what's the importance of soft skills. If you look at all the latest surveys, people who are hiring, the corporations, they are asking for better soft skill over hard or technical skills. And the last bullet is very eye opener. For a new college graduate, ability to work in a team is more important than the problem solving or the technical or analytical skill. So the industry wants more soft skills. What do we produce as academic institutions? No soft skills in the curricula, leaving aside few enlightened institutes. So this mismatch is creating a major problem. One, students can't even communicate what they are doing, what they have done, and what they expect from the work, even if they get the job. So that hampers their getting the placement. And early on, we saw even IITs, the 40% of them are not getting any placement in the current year. And even if they get the placement, if they don't have the proper soft skills, they are not going to make progress in the life, and they are not going to be giving their best to benefit the organization and themselves. So soft skills are very, very critical. And I can tell you from my personal experience, after coming from great institute, I had a good technical knowledge, but I was weak on soft skill side, which I got coming here doing the graduate work as well as MBA studies, and then working with multinationals. I took a lot of courses on the soft skill area and developed the right skills needed to progress in the workplace. And that is what is creating this unemployment major issue. One of the root causes is lack of soft skills. And very important thing, the biggest thing is the communication. And this slide captures it very nicely. It says no matter what job we have in life, success is 5% from academic credential, 15% from professional experiences, but 80% success depends on the communication skills. And you have to fill in the gap other soft skills such as leadership, decision making, time management, teamwork, problem solving, project management, etc. And this is where the need of the hour is, and we are still not waking up to change the curricula. Now, I want to share with you a live case study from my alma mater, IIT BHU, where help of Professor Anil Kumar Agrawal, he was in charge of the training and placement cell. He has moved on now, retired from IIT delivered 6 sessions. And the idea was of this 6 session was that if we do a project, so all technical people do the project, including the faculty, all business people manage the project. And in order to do a better project management, you need to understand leadership, decision making, time management, teamwork, which also includes problem solving. And then you do good project management and use all this discipline to manage your career as you go along. So those sessions were done in collaboration with the AICTE, which opened up for the entire nation, Atal Academy, Alma World, uh, parent body of the World Book of Records, and the state of Uttarakhand Department of Higher Education. And with the help of AICTE, all these 6 sessions which are recorded, we are sitting at about 92,000 views. And I want to take you through one of the major output from this program, 6 sessions captured in a single website. And this is where ITBHU Training Placement Cell has captured the soft skill program we completed in 22. So the focus of this program was skilling, reskilling, upskilling, benefit for the faculty for improving teaching learning process, students to get the job readiness skills and improve their employability. And these were all synergistic topics leading to mastery in project management. Each of the topic we covered: leadership, the resources, the presentation in PDF format, recorded video, and each of these items are there sitting there as an excellent resource to tap in: leadership, decision making, time management, teamwork, project management, and career development guidance. We had excellent feedback. Overall satisfaction 99.5%, applicability 96%, and new learning 98.7%, which are really good feedback. A lot of media coverage, excellent photographs of all the dignitaries, and it was 7-member student team, Professor Anil Kumarji and myself as a key coordinators. So this resource is sitting there, which needs to be leveraged, and it can be used forever. And I'll go back to the presentation part now. So please make sure you use this, and this presentation PDF I'll be sharing right away with Professor Gill and Harshvardhan ji and Professor Ramakrishna as well, and the director, sir. So I was visiting India on 18th of March 2016. Commissioner of Higher Education, Mr. Shah, shown in the white shirt in the top right picture, with the help of Swamiji from Vadodara Center, Swami Niklesharanandji, seated in the middle. I was given 45 minutes to talk about effective time management. Via satellite, we connected with 450 colleges and 500,000 students, 500,000 benefited on time management topic, and it has been professionally recorded. We are very honored to receive the DL Shah Quality Award in Silver category by the Quality Council of India in 2016 in New Delhi for the technology transfer, that is the soft skill program using the technology, that was the use of Google Hangout, which was free and recorded. In the interest of time, I'll keep moving and we'll take the question on soft skills and this last segment, how to create motivated, energized, and capable faculty as we go. So very happy to share that since 2020, in the last 4 years, been advising and guiding on NEP 2020 implementation in 9 states and 2 union territories. In number of institutes, multiple sessions were delivered. On the soft skills, impact is in 20 states and 4 union territories of India, with the impact of faculty and students 1.2 million benefited. And this also includes some of the industry uh, recipients like Tata Group, BSNL, and National Academy of Indian Railways, etc. Specifically, the several FDPs were offered between 2020 to 21 on NEP 2020 implementation, which is one for the leadership level, where the vice chancellor, director, or the principal, 16 of them from 8 different institutes attended it. The focus was the faculty needs to understand what's the role of the leaders needs to understand what's the role for sustainability, their role as a leader, how do they engage the talent, and general framework for project management, which should be deployed in implementing NEP 2020. Project management for the next level deans and department heads who are going to roll up the sleeve and do the implementation at the ground level. They need to understand the project management. 21 faculty at the dean department head level from 8 different institutes attended that session over several weeks, the weekends mainly, and taught soft skill to faculty on the topics we mentioned. 78 faculties were trained from 18 institutes across southern part of India, and soft skill for students. 350 students from 35 institutes attended those sessions. And interestingly, these all sessions were collaborative, experiential, and outcome based. They had to do a lot of work to attend these programs. An idea is not just listening, but doing. So then the retention is much better. I'll walk you through the effective assessment and then there'll be a time for question and answers. So let me bring in the real comment. While I was there for my first 22 years, I've taken so many exams, and exams, and exams. I don't remember any one of them, and I don't find any of that was any useful at all throughout my career. For further studies, either here or during the work situation for the last 49 years. So none of those things were useful. It was waste of time. Granted, we need to understand how students are learning and we need to evaluate their performance. But exam is not the answer. So I think we need to really think about how much time we are wasting in the exams. And then we hear the horror story of papers getting leaked or stolen and all the aftermath of that. Instead, if the faculty can do systematic, continuous, comprehensive assessment throughout the semester of each and every student, individually and in the team setting, it will have a lasting impact on the future for the students, for India as well. So I want to bring in that in last 31 years, with few exceptions in India when I taught, they required absolutely end-term exams. So we kept about 15% component, 85% was the rest of the items shown here. Discussion board, topical discussion individually, 25% points. Articles, case reading we showed earlier, summary in a team setting, 30%. Team project report based on the team, 20%. Team project presentation, another 20%. And a reflection journal, which is on individual basis, 5%. Absolutely no exams, so no pressure to mug up and vomit in the exam. Instead, they have to show to me that they are learning some new concepts and they are able to apply them and do a live project in a team setting by collaborating and cooperating with each other. It's a radical departure from what we have done in the last 100 years of exams and further exams, which is taking away all the energy and the creativity of our students, keeps the faculty busy doing this sort of work which has no ultimate impact except you just go through the old way of doing things because it was done before and we just want to continue. So we need to seriously think about changing the way we evaluate and assess our learners and the students. So I'll just quickly run through it. Discussion board. So my goal is that if it is a 10-week course, there'll be a 10 discussion topic each week focused on the topic under consideration. Simple one or two short questions which will spur the interest on the part of students to write down what they know about the topic and how that topic has been useful at their workplace. More focus on application. And they are required to do initial post and two further post within the same week, respond to two of the classmates and keep the thread going. And I monitor the thread and challenge them if they are not putting the right input. Article case reading, we talked about 8 to 10 state of the art articles, and from the management side, business side, Harvard Business Review, MIT Sloan, McKinsey Quarterly, etc., top journals. And they are formed in a group. They read the article individually, then they read in the group, and then they write down two-page summary. Focus is the third bullet, key principles and practices, bridging the gap between theory and practice on the use of principles and practices and key takeaways. Now, this method of reflective learning and writing in a simple and succinct summary improves the knowledge retention from each article or the case. And this is very, very important. All my students, they say we have to do so much work, but at the end of the day, when we reflect back, this was the best learning we got by doing this specific way of reading the articles and creating summaries. Team project report, I provide a structure. They are required to use their creativity to put the content. There are status reports, three of them throughout the semester, and they have to show the progress rather than crash in at the last minute to keep them on target, and lots of templates. And I've shown here as a summary sample templates for the project management course. And the structure is provided, content is theirs, it's based on their creativity and innovativeness. And they go ahead and make a presentation based on the project report. And I allow the peer evaluation to practice on judging the others' work as well. A short amount of grading is given based on the peer evaluation as well. And reflection journal, we talked about key learnings, key lessons, and implementation of key lessons. So that's the assessment methods. And being a senior faculty here, they do not bother me to run the midterm or the final exams, and I'm okay here. India, as I mentioned, the place where I taught in Chennai, they needed a final exam, so they ran through it. 15% weight only, 85% was done through the other methods. We just went through. So I think my sincere request is substitute exams with additional way of evaluating our students. It will go a long way in finding better way to measure the learnings, and it will put students at ease and they will focus more on application rather than mugging up and vomit it in the exams only. Here are some of the key references, and at one of the time we will do a special session on the effective implementation of NEP 2020, the work we have done at AICTE Implementation Plan Committee. I'll be happy to share that. Now, bringing it together, my recommendation is higher education institutes in India should include the value education for all the students. And in order for us to become the best in terms of education, the institute needs to have first strategy to engage the learners and students in the classrooms and make sure that your faculty has achieved the excellence and make them as best as you can. And once they are there, they can do a better knowledge transfer to the students. Soft skills are critical and should be included in all curricula, and continuous comprehensive assessment of the course is more effective than the midterm or the end term examination. So the time has come for each one of you to write down two key takeaways from the session. And please write down one short key takeaway in the chat box, and we will read some of them and learn from it as well. With that, we are ready for question and answers, and I'll stop sharing.
Sir, the very first question is how to impart skills to the students.
Yeah. So first is you should be clear as a faculty what the concepts are, what the principles are, and then engage your students and ensure that you are giving that knowledge to them in a individual setting, team setting, and circle back to see whether they got it. If they are still not getting it, give them enough examples, what it means, where it's applied, and how it can benefit them in future applications. Next question.
Next question is, sir, what are the challenges and policies can we take to improve effective NEP 2020 and to entire our Indian education system?
Okay, I knew this question was coming, so I was two side slides ready here. I've made a hard copy of it. I'm not going to go into on a slide basis there. So my assessment is this, based on what I know and what I have been seeing on the ground in India and what I see here in the Western world. We need a very sound structure for implementing NEP 2020. That's the first biggest challenge. Secondly, we need to engage alumni and industry experts in rolling out NEP 2020 at the institute level because they have the ability to bring the reality, what's important in the industry. And they can bring the resources to update the curricula, bring in some research projects, bring in real money to do some outstanding projects for the institute and improve the institute as well. A strategic plan of implementation should be created and shared widely within the institute with all stakeholders. I think we still have a major gap. There is no one thinking about seamless transition from K through 12 schools to higher education institute. And unfortunately, we have individualist approach. People are doing what they want to do at the individual institute level, and there is hardly any sharing because that's not in our DNA. We learned from Britishers, divide and rule, and not share anything with anyone. So if you are successful, you should share your success. If you are not successful, you should also share the difficulties so others don't fall into the same trap. We need to do some pilots to understand the real landscape at the ground level. And most of all, what I see is lacking is the leadership not owning up to their roles of sustainability. And most of the places, it has been delegated downward to either dean of R&D or dean somebody. And there is leadership is not engaged in implementing NEP 2020, and the project management and risk management backbone is missing. There is failure of imparting project management skills to the faculty, to the students nationwide. And we are suffering big time in the real projects at the national level. and we talked enough about the lack of proficiency in the soft skill. Now, in order to overcome these challenges, I have another slide on project structure, which we can go into more detail when we have another session on effective implementation of NEP 2020. It will require a systematic effort to do things across India and then share successes and failures and try to help each other out so that the entire nation lifts up rather than one or two islands of excellence and others are struggling. And that urgency is not there. We need to bring that sense of urgency for NEP implementation because it has a tremendous potential to uplift the entire nation by doing the right thing rather than talk about it and do nothing. So this is my summary on the education system. Okay, next question, please.
Our next question is from Dr. Sandeep Singh Gill sir from NITER Chandigarh. What is your opinion on addition of more and more interdisciplinary and other generalized courses at the cost of core courses in the curriculum? Is the required balance being taken care of?
Yeah, I think that balance is the key word. You can't keep adding more things, and then there will be a collapse of the system. So if you are adding something, you need to think about what are you subtracting. Whatever is not working and whatever is additional things, get rid of it. Only do the right thing, and this requires systematic thinking. All the faculties putting their head together, understand what are we trying to achieve, what's the goal, what's the objective, and what do we get out of it by designing a specific course, what's the ultimate outcome, and is it keeping pace with the industry and the current needs of the world. So I think this is where we have a major gap. That systematic analysis is lacking, and that analysis should take first preference, and based on the analysis you decide what is relevant and what is not relevant. You don't need to have too many things, but you need to have the right things in the course curriculum. Okay, next one, please.
Next question is by Dr. Pramod Kumar Singla sir from NITER Chandigarh Curriculum Development Center Department. Sir is asking, most of the students from India do well in academics, research and work environment in USA, Canada, Germany and Australia and other countries. If India's education system is not good, how the students do well in abroad, in India too? Of course, we need to improve and grow.
Yeah.
But why few of the students are doing good in our country also and other nations also?
Yeah, I think one has to, and I can tell you from my personal experience. While I was there in India, my focus was on learning. So I used to ask a lot of questions, and which faculty did not like. And one young faculty shut me down in the very first year. So I stopped asking questions. So one thing is our faculty needs to be open to questions. And that comes when you are confident that you have certain knowledge which you are able to impart. You have the humility of not knowing you don't know and say that I don't know and I'll do some research and get back to you. That kind of openness is lacking, and some high-handedness by few faculty spoils the whole system. So that is one issue. Coming here, I learned that it's not good to remain silent. If you have some value to add, you have to speak up in the classroom, share your experiences and your knowledge. And if you have some value to add, others will listen to you. So here is totally inquiry-based learning. Most of it is in a team setting. So coming from India, we are all individually good, but collectively we are all fools. We pull each other down. We don't support others in the team, and this I reflect based on whatever experience I have seen. And that's an unfortunate way. Here, when you come to the foreign country, you are required to learn on the feet, and there's no other choice. Either you change your learning way and become better at it and do good things, or else you have to go back. So this is the difference. People adapt to the new system here, and they are intelligent enough to do good things. But if we create similar opportunities in India by changing the system, we don't have to send students overseas just to have a brain drain. Instead, they can do better in India itself by creating more opportunities, which also are lacking at the moment. Unemployment is the real challenge we need to face as a country together rather than just talk about it as an academic exercise. It's reality. If IITians can't get the job, what about the others? So I'll leave it at that. Next
And
item.
next question is, sir, by Dr. Dean Administration and Finance, Dr. Sri Ramakrishna, sir, from
Yeah.
NITA Chandigarh. What is the reasonable student-faculty ratio to carry out effective assessments? Currently, teachers are overloaded in many institutions.
Yeah. I think, as I said, with two people, we were managing 120 students at the Great Lake Institute of Management without an issue. So, faculty needs to do more work. If you are in a continuous comprehensive assessment mode, and when I teach a class for 10 weeks here on the project management, I'm constantly, throughout that 10 weeks, I'm doing more work than the students in the classes. And I'm very prompt. I get back to my students on the same day when the question come from them, either email or a phone call. I prefer email. And I'm fully engaged. So that is one thing where we need to do some changes as a faculty. While the classes are going on, take a help of a teaching assistant and set up a system so those who are good in the classes can also become the mentor for the students who are struggling and take their help, and entire system can improve by doing the right assessment. And I gave you the roadmap. Adopt it as best as you can and get the reliance on the exam less and less, and have a supplemental assessment schemes added as appropriate and manage it. It will require some hard work and dedication, but it's worth it. Okay, in the interest of time, we have 2 minutes left. So should we do the closing now?
Yes, sir. There is only one key takeaway given by Dr. BP Burma, sir. Sir
Mhm.
is saying the key takeaway for the session is value education is very important. Other
Okay,
ways of evaluation for the student need to be taken care of. Soft skill must be given importance. So
very
this is the
good.
key takeaway. Yes, sir.
Yeah, excellent, excellent summary. And I want to thank all of you for patiently listening and allowing me to share some of the thoughts. And again, I don't have the final word. This is all give and take. We learn from each other, share some ideas, and out of which you find something which is more useful to you, go with it. And wish you all a lot of success in improving the education system at the India level. So thank you.